It's 2020. Well, it's not 2020 when I'm filming this. It's December 29th, but 2020, new year, new me, right? Yeah. So, okay, hey guys, thanks for coming back to check out another video. So, makeup inventory. It's not that bad. It's not. It's really not. I kind of failed my no buy when I started it, and I just think I thought I was in like the right headspace, and I wasn't. I just wasn't. But now I am, because I've taken steps to shame myself into wanting to do this. So one of those things you can expect is how many, oh, sorry. There's a box next to me and my cats likes to sit in it, so I left it and then I hit it with my hand and one of them was in it and she just looked at me like so offended. Anyway, where was I? Oh, I've taken steps to shame myself into completing this no buy. So a video series that you can expect is how many years do I own of yada yada yada, and that is totally inspired by Jessica Lee and Paula, a beauty guru, made me do it, and Amanda D. So, but that was really eye-opening. And then, you know, in doing like the pan those eyeshadows and the project pan and the yada yada yada, like I'm using these things and I'm finding items in my collection where I'm like, that looks like the new release of the thing that I want. So I think I'm just in a better headspace to do this no buy. So I'm going to start it. Sorry, I'm having to like adjust. I'm going to start my no buy in January 2020. So I have like the updated inventory for you guys. So we're just going to talk about like the numbers and like what my goal would be. But one thing I do want to film for you guys is I absolutely love collection videos. I don't think that, like, I know there's some people feel like, I guess, a negative connotation but towards them, of like, oh, people are trying to like flex, like look at my collection. That's not how I view them. I'm just very nosy and I want to know like what you got in your drawers. So I just enjoy them. So I'm going to film it because I just think it would be fun. So that will be coming, and that will be like a much more in-depth look of like each category. So this is just the numbers, quite like we did last time, I think, when I, you know, first started a no buy, which I guess was like in August of 2019. But yeah, so, and then obviously the rules, don't buy anything. There's that. Replacements are fine. Like if I absolutely, like I only, for instance, have one color corrector in my collection and that's it. I only want the one peach color corrector that I have. If I finish it up completely, I can most certainly go out and buy that one thing to replace it. So this year, like during this, you know, 2020 year, like I'm gonna have a birthday and Christmas, and I am not going to ask for any makeup related items whatsoever. So that'll be like another rule. Really, those are the only two things. Those are the two things that, you know, I just need to work on. I need to work on realizing that new is not necessarily new, because how many original ideas are left in the world, you know? But yeah, so just that, and like I want to take this and do this no buy to make sure that I'm making better like decisions about things when it's like over, and maybe it'll last longer than a year, you know? I don't know. I know there are people who have been doing no buys for like years. So we will just see. We will just go from there. But that's enough like rambling. I'm sorry. I just can't get my act together. Let's just start. I have it all on my phone, so if I'm like looking down, then that's why I'm looking at the numbers. So I tried to do my categories in my spreadsheet as like how I would do, like apply them on my face, but that didn't always like work out. But anyway, so my hope is that in April of 2020 to come back on and be like, hey, here's the updated numbers. But for primers, I have 8 primers. And I think that a good goal for me in this category would be 3. Like I really love pore filling primers, and then it just depends on the season. Like sometimes I want a more matte primer and sometimes I want a more hydrating primer. So I think 3 is acceptable for me. The next thing is BB cream, and I have 2 in my collection, and my goal is 2. So while that category is fine, like I'm going to try to finish off both of those because neither one of them are like favorite BB creams, I would say. My favorite is the Misha BB cream that you can get off Amazon. I think it's a Korean brand. So that might be what I end up going to get, but 2 BB creams, and the goal is 2. The next category is foundation, and so I have 10 in there, but some people might consider it 9. So I did count that Drunk Elephant De-Bronzy Serum in with my foundations because I've been mixing it in with my foundation. That's how I've been using it, so I wanted to count it into that category. So I do have 10. My goal would be 4. I think 4 foundations is a very like curated amount, and honestly I think that 4 can last you for like a year plus. Not you, me. You is very generalized. Color corrector, like we already said, I only have 1, and so the goal is 1. Yay, a category met. Concealer, y'all, this is ridiculous. I have 7 concealers. Why? My goal would be to have 3 because I want to have a concealer for like the days where I just want to strictly wear a powder foundation. So I like having a concealer that's more of my skin tone. And then sometimes I want like a concealer that's more full coverage. Sometimes I want one that's more like lighter coverage. And I like to get, like if it's concealer that I'm putting on like under my eyes or down my nose or something like that, I like to have it like just a hair lighter than my foundation, not like a ton lighter. So I think 3 for that is good. Loose powder, I have 3 in my collection, and my goal is to have 1 because the only area that I use loose powder is underneath my eyes because I think a pressed powder makes it too like cakey and crepey looking. So I only use it there, and then like around my nose and my smile lines. So 1 powder is more than enough to last forever. Pressed powders, now the 2 pressed powders that are in here, it's the Essence Banana Powder, and then they're all matte like white powder, and I don't really like either of those. I think that they're both too drying on my skin and they feel a little heavy. So those are the only 2 in this category. Honestly, my goal for this category is 0. Now, once I finish up the loose powders in my collection, I think my plan for those Essence powders is to chop them up, turn them into a powder. Turn them into a powder and like mix them together and put them into like a jar and use it as a loose powder. So the next category is pressed setting powders and or powder foundations, because it's not always that I wear powder foundation as a powder foundation. I do sometimes, but typically what I like to use them for is to set this like cheek area so that I can blend like bronzer, blush, and highlighter on top more easily. So for this category, I have 7, and my goal is 3. I really think 3 is a good number, just to kind of give you that variety, because I do get bored of like using the same product like all the time. So I do want a little bit of variety. Plus, you know, different ones play differently with like different foundations and things like that. And I can typically go through those pretty quickly, I think. So cream bronzer is a new category. I've had cream bronzers in my collection, but I had them like factored in with bronzers last time, I think. And I figured like you have a category for cream blushes and a category for powder blushes, so you should separate your bronzers out in that matter too. Now, one of these was a Christmas gift, but I do have 2 cream bronzers, and my goal is 1 because I really feel like with the cream bronzer, they kind of all give the same effect. Like there's no real color difference to them, so I don't see the point in having more than 1. So then for powder bronzers, I have 11, and my goal would be 4, because unlike the cream bronzers, I do feel like powder bronzers, like there's cool tone ones, there's ones that are more warmer, but there's like of the warmer ones, some are more orange, some are more red, some are more whatever. So I think 4 is a good category for that. And I do have 1 highlighter in my bronzer category. It's the Balm Bonnie Luminizer, because while that's a highlighter, it's far too dark for me to use as a highlighter, and so I like to use it as a glowy bronzer. The next category is cream blush, and I have 10 of those. So my goal is 4, and I currently have 1 of them in my 21 by 2021 project pan, and then if things work out the way that I think it will, I will have the the Balm How About Them Apples palette in another project pan. And so if I can get those two moved out by the end of this year, then that should be goal met for that category, because all I would have left are ColourPop blush sticks. So for powder blush, I have 14 powder blushes, and I honestly didn't think I had that many blushes and powder bronzers, but the thing that got me was like the face palettes. Like I have like the Tarte Hamptons Weekender palette, and you look at that in your drawer and you just, it's not like a single, so my mind at least doesn't like assess that, I guess. And then, you know, I have like a few eyeshadow well, I think I have one eyeshadow palette that has like a highlighter and a blush in it, and it just, those really like threw off my numbers, because like for instance with like the eyeshadow palette, it's kept with the eyeshadows. Now the blush and the highlighter that are in it are obviously accounted for in these numbers, but when I'm like visually looking at my collection, I visually see that and think, oh, eyeshadow palette, and then I don't see that blush and that highlighter within my collection. So it was really eye-opening to like actually do an inventory. So yeah, 14 blushes. My goal is 4. I really think 4 is way more than enough, because how many shades do I actually need in my life? Not 14, that's for sure. And it's going to take a very long time to get that category down, but I am, you know, really excited. I'm going to be actively like project panning things and using things up, and so, you know, we'll get there. It's just going to take a while. Cream or liquid highlighters. I have 5. One thing I have found is that while I love cream bronzer and cream blushes, cream highlighters I think I could really do without. The only reason I did say that I want a goal of 1, and the reason is because I've actually really fallen in love with mixing my ABH Liquid Glow highlighter. I think it's in the shade Perla. I really love to mix that in with like the more matte foundations and kind of give my skin like that little bit of like, it looks like a glow. So I do like that, but like as a like standard cream highlighter, I'm just not like the biggest fan of it. So yeah, let's try to work through 4 of those. So for powder highlighters, 13. My goal is 4. I really, you know, again, like the palettes are what threw me off with this, as far as like visually thinking about my collection. I only have 1 highlighter with pan in it too. No, 2? 2. I think I have 2 highlighters with pan in it. So we are on our way. For brows, I only have 2 brow products. I kept the goal number at 2, but so I have the ABH Dip Brow Pomade, which I love. I think that is a great bang for my buck, because I can blow through brow pencils like no other. And then for Christmas, I was gifted the Essence Give Me Brow Gel, I think. And it's not bad, but I just don't think that I enjoy those types of products. So, but the reason I kept it at 2 was because the brow pencils are far easier than the pomade. And so for like days when I'm like in a rush, that pencil would make much more sense. So that's why I put that category at 2. Eyeshadow primer, I have 6. And my goal is 3, because I absolutely love the NYX Jumbo Pencil in the shade Milk. That really helps cancel out like my veins and like discoloration. And then I think that I have hooded lids, obviously, so eyeshadow primer, at least in my experience, really helps me to combat that kind of like creasing that I get from like my eyes opening and closing. And then a glitter primer. So I think 3 is far more than enough. So this next category, I don't think it existed before Christmas. And again, I'm very thankful for all of the gifts that I received and things like that. But so the category is loose pigments and loose eyeshadows. And I have 40 of them now. And again, I'm very grateful. A family member found online like this cosmetics company and ordered a ton of like the loose shadows. They came in like a bundle deal, I guess. And they're really pretty colors. I really like them. My plan with them is to press them as I, you know, am wanting that particular color. So but my goal for loose pigments and shadows is 5. But that might even change because I'm not quite sure that I am prepared for the fuss of that. Like, I know I don't like using them as loose shadows. But I haven't, like, I've pressed 3 of them and it went fairly well. Like, it wasn't like tragic and horrible, but I don't know if that's like a lifestyle I want to keep up. So the goal is 5, but that category, honestly, after I finish everything off from it, which I realize is going to be a very long time, I might change my mind and be like, no, I just don't need loose shadows in my life. Then cream and liquid shadows, we have 12. So this includes things like my e.l.f. smudge pots, like my Stila Glitter and Glows. I think I have 1 shadow stick from e.l.f. Just, it's kind of like that miscellaneous category almost, but everything was like cream based. Then I have ColourPop Super Shock eyeshadows. Oh, I have 21. Oh, did I say? Yeah, my goal with the cream shadows was 3. But with ColourPop Super Shock shadows, my goal is 5. So I have not had, I had one come to me already dried out a little bit. So I rehydrated it with vitamin E oil and that worked fine. It performs more like a cream shadow now rather than like a Super Shock shadow. If you own them, I think that you'll get what I'm trying to say. So they can dry out really quickly, and this year I really want to make a conscious effort to move out as many of them as I can, or at least hit pan on as many of them as I can so that I'll know they're getting used and loved. But yeah, 5 I think is a far better number, and I have a few in my collection where I'm not like thrilled with the color. Like, I don't hate it and it's not the worst thing in the world, and I don't have anyone in my life to like pass it on to, so I don't want to just like chuck it or something like that when it's something that like I can make it work for me. So then the next category is single eyeshadows, and these are just single eyeshadows that I do not have in a Z palette, and I have 4. And the thing that I've found is that I just don't reach for them, and I don't have space in my Z palette, and I'm not going out to buy another Z palette. So my goal is to just have 1. And I already know that the one that I would like to have in my collection is a matte cream shade, because y'all know I can plow through those like nobody's business. So that would be helpful to have that as a single for like travel purposes, or for like if a palette is already like missing that shade from it or something like that. So then we get to eyeshadow palettes, and I now have 32 palettes. But I really feel like I did a good job in 2019 of like going through and really scrutinizing my eyeshadow palette collection. Like, when I look at it now, like, yeah, 32 is a lot. It is a lot. And I received, I think, like 6 palettes for Christmas. And again, I am really thankful for my family for that. Everything that I got is just, it's so beautiful and I'm so happy. But 32 is a lot. It is a lot. Like, can't sit here and argue that. It is a lot. So I don't have like a particular number goal for this category, because right now as I'm sitting here, there's no palette that I want to like declutter. And yes, I would like to move them out and things like that. So as this year, or as this no buy in and of itself just goes on, like, I'm just not going to add any palettes into my life, and we will see like where we can get that number to. Then we have eyeliners, and I have 4. My goal is 2. I have found that like I use a black eyeliner like randomly, not enough to really count it. And then but I really do love having like a peach kind of eyeliner for my waterline, because I think it makes my eyes look more awake. So 2 is enough, a peach one and a black one, and the black one will get used like occasionally. The next one is mascara, and now a lot of these are like deluxe sizes, but I have 9 mascaras, and my goal is 2, because I have 2 open right now, but typically I only ever have 1 open, and so 1 open and 1 in the background, because I don't get rid of my mascaras like after the 3 to 4 month use mark. I know, you can yell at me, but I've never gotten like an eye infection or anything, and I just feel wasteful because there's still like product in there, and so I just use them typically for like 6 to 8 months. So Lip balm. Whoo, 14. 14. I found some like in my car, in my drawer, like just hiding throughout my house. So 14. My goal is 5, which 5 still probably seems like a lot, but I like to have one like down in the living room, like one in the bedroom, one in my car, like one in my purse, yada yada yada. So I think 5 is pretty reasonable, and I'm constantly like working on multiple ones at a time. Lip liners, I currently have 3 and my goal is 2. That one honestly is just kind of like an arbitrary number. I really just feel like for me, I use lip liners all over my lips just to kind of like neutralize the color, because my natural lip color is like this, like, it looks like I'm dead purple. And so I use them to neutralize my lips and to make like lip colors actually look good on me. So I think a pink and a red is all that I need in my life. Bullet lipsticks, I have 11 and my goal is 5. Again, just kind of an arbitrary number. I've done better in the year of 2019 of reaching for lipsticks. I've yet to finish up a lipstick. So I think 5, you know, not really a lipstick kind of girl. I'm getting better about it, but 11 is just ridiculous. So for lip gloss, I have 5 and my goal for that is 2. I have just kind of fallen out of love with lip gloss, I guess. I used to really love it and now I don't really love it, so I just need to work through what I have. And then the last category is setting spray, and I have 5 right now and my goal is to just have 2. So again, the goal numbers are like just what I feel like is appropriate for me. That's not like me sitting here saying that's how everyone's collection should look. You know, we're all different. We all love makeup differently. And then I'm sorry that my old inventory sheet got deleted from Google Docs, which was my fault, not Google's fault. Like, I deleted it. So anyway, I don't have like the old numbers to like sit down and give you, but that's fine. Like, I don't even really want them. Like, I'm taking this as like a new fresh start. And so I'm really excited. I do, again, want to come on here roughly every like 3 months and like update you on like how my numbers are looking. Am I struggling with anything? I'm going to try to be better about like duping things. So, like, like eyeshadow is like my most favorite thing in this life. If a palette comes out and I'm like, I need it, I want it, and I need it, like, I'm gonna try really hard to like go through my collection and try to like find the best version of it in my collection. So like, if I do that, like, I will share that with you guys. I think those videos are fun to watch. So yeah, that's really all I have. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all of your like support and comments and things like that you leave on these types of videos. And you know, if you're doing like a no buy or a low buy or a whatever buy, like, let me know. I would love to like, you know, reach out and like support you along your journey and things like that. But that's all I have. So hopefully this video wasn't like too terribly long, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.